How's your German?
Zero. Zero German, so we'll figure that out when we get over there.
Talk about it being unusual that you're up there. It's a very different type of week. What did you tell your guys just in preparing? It's a short week, but a long week all at the same time.
Just biggest thing, we always work on Mondays once we review the previous game. We'll come back together and just get our minds flipped onto the next opponent so we can really fully put that behind us and start the preparation on Monday evenings and going through the week. So we've kept that same process. Obviously, the big travel in between is a little different, but we try to keep everything as similar as we possibly can, and really feel like we got a good start on Tampa Bay preparation starting last night and today.
One of the things that stands out with Tampa is that Tom Brady's getting the ball out really fast. How do you generate a pass rush against a guy that's getting it out in under 2.5?
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the challenge. This guy's seen everything. There's not a whole lot that you can disguise from him. But you got to obviously still continue to work that way. Play smart like we've been doing. Obviously got to change up some different looks and things like that to if we can catch him off guard, that'll be great. But like I said, this guy's played a lot of football. The GOAT, everybody says that, but this guy's the best. So you got to obviously work to that and look forward to the challenge.
What do you think of the way Tariq Woolen played Sunday?
Again, very well. I know some people may point out the touchdown pass or whatever, and obviously he was pissed off about that. But I thought he still played a heck of a football game. All the way around. He's doing all the little things the right way, tackling, covering, communicating in coverage and whatnot. So he's doing really well.
How have you seen him handle the games not coming his way for most of them? I mean, teams are just flat avoiding him.
We all stay in his ear. I stay in his ear. K. Scott, obviously Q. Diggs and his teammates just. You don't want to be the guy where you start to relax thinking things aren't going to be coming that way and you have stuff figured out. It's never like that because this game will humble you very fast. So you just got to make sure you stay on top of the details. You're involved in every route. You're always staying ready. And he is. I mean, he's a hungry kid. There's no signs of complacency or anything of that nature. So, but we stay on top of it just to remind him. He probably gets a little annoyed with that. I don't know that he does, but I don't care if he does. We're going to make sure he's ready so we don't have any situations like that.
Speaking of getting annoyed with things, is Kobe getting fed up with having turnovers taken away?
You know what? For his competitive nature, yeah, he definitely was ticked off about it. And but the way how that kid is, his ability to see the opportunities when the ball's in the air, obviously his ability to punch the ball out, they're going to keep coming for him.
Pete was really praising Jordan Brooks, not so much just for the playmaking on the field, but his command of everything, calling everything, making the adjustments. What have you seen out of him this year, taking on that role?
It's been awesome to see, especially for myself. Obviously first-time coordinator, and his first time calling defenses, and go through this experience with him. And he is from game 1 through now going into a game 10. He has been incredible. His mind is starting to settle down. He doesn't feel the angst or the pressure of I got to make the call, make sure everybody's on the same page in the huddle, get the defense lined up. Any post-snap communications, things like that. So to see his maturation through this whole, as this thing is going, it's been really cool to see for him. And it's been a big turnaround, a big help for a while. We've been able to turn the corner defensively for the last 4 games.
You said his mind's just slowed down. How can you tell if that's happening for him?
Easy. The first game we played Denver and make a huddle call to him, and he's like holding his ears, and he's out there like kind of hurrying up, he wants the huddle call to come in, and I'm like hitting the button. Hey Jordan, there's only 9 guys on the field. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna snap it. That kind of deal. So just slow down. Everything's good because he's looking at me and he can see his teammates, but behind him he has no idea, who's in the huddle, how fast they're getting on the ball. Just if it's your first time doing it, you just feel the pressure, the angst of, I want to hurry up and get this thing out so now I can go line up and go play, which is all understandable, for a first-time guy doing that, even for myself, going through some of those. So it's been a learning process and transition, but like I said, from game 1 to where he's at now, it's a night and day, so it's a credit to him.
You said that early in the game against Denver?
Oh, it was, yeah. I mean, the first couple of games, we went through that. I mean, between learning a new defense, new levels of communication, everyone understanding their roles and responsibilities and whatnot. It just is transition time, so it was something new for he and everybody, as collectively as a unit. So now to see all those things start to come together, again, it feels good. It's exciting to these guys because even with us getting better and improving, we know there's still so much more that we can get accomplished and get done and continue to get better.
How wordy is an average defensive play call compared to an offensive play call?
The play call itself is not nearly as wordy as the offense. It takes forever, for them to get stuff out of there. And generally because they have 2 play checks, is what happens. And sometimes defensively we may have that, but not very often. If there's a tip or anything like that we look for, but not nearly as wordy as it is for the offense. But defensively, where the communication comes in is besides the huddle call, it's pre-snap communication on formations, alerts, the receiver splits, things information that guys may be able to see and whatnot, protections and that type of stuff is what goes on to allow you to play great. I've never been around a great defense that didn't have great communication.
Are you talking about you calling the play, Jordan relaying it, and then you continuing to talk to Jordan as the offense gets lined up?
No, the huddle call itself is not a long call. That's not the deal. It's when you get lined up, the huddle call's made, bang, everybody's out. Now see the formation, close the front, set the coverage. If there's anything that changes off of motion and whatnot, there's things like that, variables within a call that could change it. But it's usually after the huddle call is made, that's where there's layers to the communication that has to go on, and where these guys have made huge strides.
What changed Sunday after the first series?
A lot of it was just adapting to see, we had an anticipation of what they would do. We actually got that. We were anticipating what they were going to do, and it actually showed with all the, the bingo formations, 4 guys to a side. We anticipated them to have motion into the boundary and put trips into the boundary short side of the field and things like that. So they did exactly what we expected. Just we could have played it better. It was nothing that was a blown call or coverage or anything like that, but just played it better. And once we got to the sideline, say, listen, this is what we worked on. This is what you're getting. And then they went out and adjusted and played accordingly. So that was really good and it was great to see.
When you look at Tampa, they are among the fewest rushing yards in the league. Why can you not overlook that part of their game on Sunday?
You want to make teams one-dimensional. They've had their struggles, but Fournette is a very capable back. They have some great players up front on the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs might be the best right tackle in the game right now. So they still got really good players. Donovan Smith has played a lot of football. So you got to respect your opponent. You want to make teams one-dimensional, obviously, if you can, and kind of make them play left-handed, so to speak, so you can pin your ears back and go get after people. That's part of what has helped out the pass rush this year. Is now you're playing, I think, the last 4 games we've had double-digit leads. So now in the fourth quarter, you guys are able to go pin their ears back and go rush and get after the passer. But you have to earn the right stopping the run first in order to get that done.
What did you think of Uchenna Nwosu when he played?
You're okay. I struggle with that too. Just Josh. You know what? I was so excited about him getting this opportunity. He's somebody, going back to the springtime when we got him, I was excited about this cat. I always look at just little things, how a guy carries himself, his confidence, ability to learn, see the bigger picture of the game, not kind of be tunnel vision. And he's got a ruggedness and a toughness to him that I really, really like. So, and to see him get the opportunity in the game, he did a nice job. Got a couple tackles, played with great effort on special teams. So it was a nice start for his career, and another young guy. Again, John and the staff keep hitting grand slams.
Clint, a half season into your first year as defensive coordinator, what's the biggest thing you've taken away, learned, had to adapt to so far now that you've been in the role?
I would say the biggest thing is to continue to be patient. That's something that it may seem like I'm good at, but I would say that I'm definitely not. So just take a deep breath, take a step back, and kind of just see things from the bigger picture, see things from a player's point of view, things that could be difficult for them, and how can we make their job easier without compromising everybody else, or if we have to, then you make sure other guys around them know, we'll pick up slack in this area because this team is doing this that we want to make sure we eliminate. Just different stuff like that. So just being patient, I would say. I got to give kudos again. Players have been awesome. Their work ethic, their attention to detail, and their effort, and just staying the course through the transition, but also to the coaching staff. Between Doc, or Sean, and K. Scott, and Curry, and D-Lou, those guys are doing the guys up front. It's been awesome. John Glenn with the linebacker. So give credit to the staff. They've been incredible and helped me out through this whole process too.
The changes in approach and changes after the New Orleans game, was that part of seeing it from a player's point of view?
I don't know if I would necessarily say that. My big thing for the New Orleans game, and going back to that, is tackling was just That to me is not a player's point of view. That is just simply just doing some of the little things, the basic fundamentals of the game the right way. And again, that's not blaming players, that's blaming myself. Those are things I take accountability first and foremost for us to be better at, because I believe if obviously we tackle better in some of those situations, we eliminate a lot of those plays and it's a different outcome. But again, it's just it's a process of working through it. There's always going to be things that I'm going to point to myself and say, I can do this better to help out our guys. I'm not going to point the finger ever at them or the coaching staff. I'll take that heat on myself.
How have you changed as a coach in this role, do you think, or have you?
I would say, the thing that's different is obviously you go through so many years in my career where I've been just nose deep in the running game and protections and the tips and tendencies of things that's going to apply to the guys up front. But now it's obviously got to be in the passing game and what things make sense to fit your rushes, your fronts and your coverages together. So you're sound with fitting everything up, and then obviously the blitz packages and again, the ability to match routes and know. So just the full perspective of the game. You may look at that stuff as a front coach, a D-line coach, but now when it's your responsibility to put all of it together, it's a little bit different, to do that. But it's also fun. This is something I've always loved, and I was looking forward to this opportunity.
You mentioned tackling. There's so little tackling these days in practice and in training camp and all that stuff. But I think the perception is that tackling in the NFL these days can only be so good.
Mm-hmm.
How would you respond to that?
I mean, there's points to it, but I'm never going to give the out on that. We're going to continue to find ways. We want to be the very best tackling team in the world. And obviously there's moments where it's just like, ugh. And then other ones, it's like, that's, outstanding. The effort, the close, the burst, the finish, all those parts. But it's just little details in the game that you have to continue to get better at. And today's football game is totally different. College football has bled into the NFL, and it's going to do that. The game kind of evolves and transitions over time. So what does that mean? Teams are spreading the field out. There's a lot more space. The speed of the receivers, the ability to make guys miss in space. So the challenges are there with that, but you just got to continue to work on those things, day in and day out. Even though the physicality part in practice may be down, just find the details of what you can work on to get better in that area.
Uchenna's up to 7 sacks, career high already for him. What stood out the most about him, just in what you've seen so far?
Man, I'll tell you what, watching the film, like the evaluation of him with the Chargers and then coming here, my excitement was this guy's got a lot of tools. He can rush the passer, smart in the passing game. He was an all-around guy and a perfect fit for the defense. And with him having background and familiarity with the defense, that was a huge plus. But I felt like, when this guy gets big time, like starter reps and playing time in the game, he's got a chance where we can get something. And that's exactly what's shown. He is the consummate professional. Not to sound like coach talk, but you got to be around him to understand. Like, this guy is first class, business all day, incredible work ethic, super, super smart. He's unselfish, with his ability to go work with the other guys that surround him, and a great leader for young players in terms of how to conduct yourself, if you have questions and things like that, how to ask and go about it, and he can help teach guys and help them understand, how things get put together. I mean, I just can't say enough positive things about this cat. The human being that he is, the player that he is, and he's young, he's only getting better. He's going to continue to improve facets of his game, so thank God we got him. So lucky.
When did those things start to become apparent? Those things you didn't see on tape, when did that start to stand out?
The stuff like there was things that were evident. Like he had rush tools, and there was like certain things he had to continue to clean up as a young guy. He's still going to continue to get better, but you could see the instincts, the awareness, the physicality and strength in the run game was there. But it's like, okay, when he got here and he was able to understand our difference, like some people teach crash 9 techniques different than others. I'm a big believer as a crash 9 guy. The outside linebackers in this defense are the star position. That's what it is. Those guys are the ones that set edges in the run game, whether they stay outside the tight end over blocks, they can come back inside, and then obviously they generate everything with the pass rush. Now, don't get me wrong, the big guys inside, you got to always collapse the pocket, but outside backers in this system that's the deal. Like, those guys got to roll for you, and obviously he's doing that at an extremely high level. His ability now, where you kind of get the handcuffs taken off, where now you have the freedom to play inside and outside. That makes it really hard on tight ends and offensive linemen to block you on the edge because of the freedom that you have. It's not just, well, this guy's aligning here and he's going to stay here every single snap. No, he has more freedom than that.
the importance of outside linebackers, is that just 3-4 in general, or more so in this defense?
Everybody across the league, everybody wants edge players, but I would say in this system, when those guys can do the full perspective of the job, rush, set edges, and do the coverage things that we ask them when it requires, it's a very valuable skill, and he has those tools all the way around.
Clint, how important is it then in this defense for people like Poona Ford to get that rush up front for the linebackers to go?
That's where it does start. Now, even like I just said, it's the start position of the defense. There's nothing worse if the guys that man the middle, whether you're in a 5 down front or you're a 4 down front, the big guys inside, they got to collapse it, and they've been doing that. Shelby, Poona, Al, Quentin, all those guys across the board. Monet, when he's been out there, have been wrecking the line of scrimmage in the run game and collapsing the pocket inside, rushing the passer. Believe me, all edge guys appreciate when the pocket gets collapsed, because if the quarterback can't step up, it makes things a lot easier on them. So those guys have been doing a really good job as 4-man pass rush.
All right, Clint's got to get going, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, take care.